Hello everybody. Today I will be telling you about one of the many unsung heroes of the Vietnam War, Master Sergeant Roybenevides, a man who was arguably the most brave and selfless man in the history of the United States Army. Roy was born August 5th, 1935 in Lindenau, Texas. He was the son of a Mexican farmer, Salvador, and his mother, Teresa, was part of the native Mexican tribe Yaqui. At 2 years old, his father died, and only 5 years later, his mother passed, both from tuberculosis. He then moved to El Campo, where he was raised by his aunt and uncle along with 8 of his cousins. At 15, he dropped out of school to work full-time and support his family. Then, at the age of 17, he enlisted into the Texas Army National Guard during the Korean War. In 1959, he married his wife Lala and completed airborne training. When he got back to Fort Bragg, he trained for the Army Special Forces and became a member. Now time for the reason why I chose this man, aka the crazy shit. The Vietnam War has begun. In 1965, he was sent to South Vietnam as an advisor, but while he was on duty, he went on a solo reconnaissance mission to gather intel where he stepped on a landmine and had to be evacuated back to the United States. His doctor claims that he would never walk again and prepared his medical discharge papers. The criticism on the Army being in Vietnam drove him to get healthy and be able to walk again. At night, Roy would crawl out of his bed and prop himself up trying to move his feet. After only a year, he walked out of that goddamn hospital with determination to go back to Vietnam. He was able to return in 1968. Now, you may think he finished his service and retired shortly after. Nope, not this guy. He is simply just built different because of the main story about this man, which is referred to as 6 hours in hell. On May 2nd, 1968, a 12-man patrol was surrounded by the enemy. This man, Roy, heard the distress call and got on a helicopter with only a knife to protect himself. Oh yeah, did I mention there were 1,000 of the enemy surrounding them? The helicopter could not find anywhere to land because of enemy fire on the island where they were on, so Roy jumped out of the helicopter and landed in an ocean 30 to 40 feet below him. He then, with nothing but determination and probably a little bit of adrenaline, he ran about 75 meters to save the 12-man patrol, doing very daring acts like exposing himself to enemy fire. On his way, he had gotten shot in the leg, head, and face. When he got there and saving his fellow men, he was shot in the gut and took a grenade blast to his back. He then found out that the helicopter that he jumped out of to get to the island had crashed, and he went to go save the pilot. He was shot in the leg a few more times during that. On his trip back to the backup helicopter, he was stabbed and beaten by an enemy, who he then killed in hand-to-hand combat. When he got back, he finally allowed his comrades to pull him in. He was pronounced dead, but guess what? He wasn't. He had only the strength to spit as the doctors were zipping up his body bag where they realized he was not dead. He then went back to the Army once he had healed and stayed in Fort Sam Houston, Texas, until retirement. And that is all I got for this madman. I could go on about how he got his Medal of Honor for a few more minutes, but that's another story.